How you doing? Am I good to hug you?
Sure.
How you doing?
Doing good, pal.
Yeah, it's good to see you.
Thank you. Good to see
We're gonna
you.
load this stuff.
This is Doug Japkus, probably one of my best friends since I've been in prison.
What a moment.
Yeah.
Leaving prison was exhilarating. It's wonderful. I have such a great appreciation for freedom now that I've reclaimed it. I'll never take it for granted again. Never again.
Oh, it's always such a pleasure to be there. I don't know how many prisoners I've watched walk out now. It never gets old. That's a new experience every time. He was in for 12 years. I was there at the doorway when he stepped into freedom. The first time he'd been free in 12 years. The first time he'd been able to walk outside without shackles. The first time he'd been able to get into a vehicle and ride without being tied down with chains. So it was a very special moment.
I served a little more than 12 years in prison for 2 crimes that I did not commit. I was ultimately pressured into taking a plea because my problems were compounded to the point where if I didn't plead out, I would have been looking at decades in prison. I ultimately pled with the hope that I would be given a light sentence. I pled no contest. I was given consecutive sentences totaling 12 to 30 years in prison. And I put my hopes in the appellate process. And the appellate process proved unfruitful for me, unfortunately.
It was in 2008 when a prisoner at Brooks Correctional Facility handed him a copy of my book, Sweet Freedom. And he was amazed at the similarities in the stories. Both Maurice Carter and Mark Hartman had been railroaded by the justice system, or a system of injustice, in Berrien County. And so it was that led Mark to want to get in touch with the author. He tried, but his mail to me went to a wrong address and was returned. And so he reached out to Pat Schellenbarger of the Grand Rapids Press. And Pat referred Mark's letter to me. At that time, Humanity for Prisoners was a one-man show, and I was often making visits to prison. And so rather than respond to Mark, since he was just a few miles away in Muskegon, I decided to pay him a visit.
One day, I get called for a visit, and I'm scratching my head thinking, who's coming to visit me? And no one from home said they were coming out to Michigan for a visit. So I go up to the control center and I walk into the visiting room and I'm waiting, and all of a sudden in walks Doug Japkus. And I knew that it was Doug because I recognized his face from the photo on the back cover of the book, Sweet Freedom. And I was just so astounded that in a moment I knew that he must have received a letter that I'd forwarded to Pat Schellenbarger. And I was so overwhelmed with emotion that he had thought enough to come visit me. And that really began the friendship.
We connected. It led the way to a beautiful friendship and many years of good discussion and working with each other. In some of our conversations, he'd indicated that he was dealing with some spiritual questions and asked if I knew some a clergyman or two. Well, 2 of my very good friends, Nate Visker and Al Hoxbergen, were very interested in our work and had been interested in our work. So I put them in touch with him.
And so I had this trifecta. I had Doug, and I had Al, I had Nate coming to visit me, and all of a sudden I was just, my heart swelled, with the feeling that, I mattered to these people. And my life was important. They affirmed my human dignity. And I can't tell you how much that meant to me.
That led to a very nice relationship among those guys, and also I think helped steer Mark in a very interesting direction while he was in the prison system.
I was given opportunities to put my faith into practice, to help other men who were behind bars like me, who were not capable of helping themselves, to emulate the servant leadership that Doug has shown in helping me, in reaching out to me, in encouraging me, in inspiring me to go forward and use my life productively for a cause greater than myself, to be part of a community, to be part of a faith-based community, to live out a calling, a vocation.
Mark quickly seized upon the idea that he wasn't going to waste time while in prison. He was going to do something about it.
I was inspired to pursue that Christian education through prison fellowship and the Urban Ministry Institute. I had the opportunity to become an inmate leader, to be a positive influence in the lives of other men my age, men younger than me, young guys who maybe have spent a lot of time in juvenile detention centers who are now in an adult prison, to be a mentor, to be a peer mentor.
I think that was like a 2 or 3 year program. He graduated from that, and that led him to the program by Calvin University, Calvin Prison Initiative.
I applied for the Calvin Prison Initiative. I was accepted as a member of the first cohort. I was blessed to be able to graduate with an associate's degree in ministry leadership, a bachelor's degree in faith and community leadership with a minor in social work as a member of the first cohort. Graduated this year, started the program in 2015, finished up in 2020, and how wonderful it was to graduate in May and to be released in October. And now I feel like my future is wide open.
You will see great things coming from Mark Hartman in the days and years to come.
I'm going to try to make the most of every day of the rest of my life. You know, however much time the Lord gives me on this earth, I want to use it to advance His will and His purpose for my life, and to be a blessing in the lives of others. You know, I've had a lot of blessings and a lot of grace bestowed upon me, and I really want to give some of that back to other people.
We have a team in place now. I'm so pleased about that. And now that I'm not on the front line anymore, he worked with the rest of the gang, and they all got to appreciate him and enjoyed working with him.
I'm extremely grateful for the support that I've received from the Humanity for Prisoners family. I think of them as my family now. I think of extensions of Humanity for Prisoners as my family. I think of the Calvin Prison Initiative, Calvin University, Calvin Theological Seminary. I think of my former wardens, actually both of them, as members of my family. They helped me succeed. I think of this church, Ferrysburg Community Church, as a part of my family. Even though I don't know each and every member of the church yet, I know that many of these people have been silently cheering for me and others, you know. And so I'm just so grateful to walk out of prison after 12 years and to have the hope for a future and the hope of restoration.
Yeah. How are you?
Oh, good, good. How are you?
Not bad.
This is my son, Zach.
So one of the highlights of my reentry experience thus far was having the opportunity to see my 3 children and also meet my daughter-in-law and granddaughter for the first time. And my granddaughter is 3.5 years old now. My cousin Melinda, who helped me get 2 children's books as a gift for her. And one of the most wonderful experiences as a new grandparent, recently released from prison, that I could ever experience was to read her these 2 bedtime stories and have her fall asleep on my arm. The end.